Welcome everybody to another episode of Fins Nation. I am your host, Louis Sung, and today we're going to be discussing the Miami Dolphins' victory over the New York Giants by a score of 31-16. So, now the real reason that I wanted to just go ahead and give a quick overview here is because we once again have to reevaluate, I guess you could say, what exactly is this Miami Dolphins football team. Because there are several factors to go into here. Number one, the Miami Dolphins, obviously, they defeated a team they were supposed to defeat at home. So the New York Giants, now sitting at 1-4, they are not a good football team. They are probably the worst football team, offensively speaking, in the entire NFL. So for the New York Giants to even score 16 points, even then, you have to put an asterisk on it. Why? Because the only touchdown that the Giants scored all game long came courtesy of a pick six, basically at the goal line, by Tua Tagovailoa throwing the interception. It was a very poorly thrown ball. It was not something that he should have done. It was a poor decision, and we all acknowledge that, and we accept it, and we move on. But they did put 16 points. They kicked 3 field goals. So we're looking at this Miami Dolphins team and thinking, all right, so the defense, how did they do? There are some people saying that they got graded as a D. And I don't mean D as in defense. I mean D as in like you went to school and you got a D. You almost failed the test. I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe it's because there were no interceptions. Maybe it's because there was too many yards gained. And I don't even know where even that's coming from. Because if you really think about it, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this up, the New York Giants, they had 268 total yards of offense, 183 passing yards, which, by the way, was split between Tyrod Taylor and Daniel Jones, 85 total rushing yards, and 3.9 yards per play. They were only 5 of 17 for third downs. They only got 1 out of 2 on fourth down. Mind you, they had 68 total plays on offense, which is 14 more than what the Miami Dolphins did, and they scored 31 points. 4 punts, 6 penalties. They allowed 7 total sacks. Now, granted, you're going to talk about, well, a lot of those were half sacks that equaled up to 7, whatever. Either way, they were sacks, and they happened. So, now let's go ahead and we'll bring this up real quick. I want to go ahead and talk about what this Miami Dolphins football team is, what they have going for them right now. But before that, really quick, just want to go ahead and mention that, as always, this show is brought to you by our good friends over at PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is the revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues. Whether that's the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, one of each, it's up to you to decide. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They give you free squares, special Taco Tuesday promos, Flex Friday specials where you can get your money back if you lose or multiply the amount of money you can normally win. So with offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you are any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5, that's F-I-V-E, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. That's promo code 5, F-I-V-E. Go to PrizePicks.com, deposit your $100, and let PrizePicks give you $100 of their dollars, and they will go ahead and you can get started winning today. Now, let's get right back into this Miami Dolphins football team, shall we? Once again, the Miami Dolphins defeated the New York Giants, and that is exactly what we all should have expected from them. We didn't expect anything less. Now, we could have expected more. I want to just bring this up real quick. The Miami Dolphins offense is continuing to set records at a breakneck pace. As of right now, Devon Achane is 37th in the league in rushing attempts. All right, think about that. 37th overall in the entire league in attempts rushing. He is now currently 2nd overall in actual rushing yards. Imagine the number that you have to have, how many yards per attempt you have to have in order to put together that kind of a stat line. Well, guess what? You do not have to imagine, because I am going to tell you right now. As of right now, Devon Achane is averaging 12.1 yards per carry, and he has 5 rushing touchdowns. Just think about that, guys. Devon Achane, as of right now, has 460 yards rushing. It's only been 5 weeks. He only really played in 4 of them, and he is already almost halfway to a 1,000-yard rushing season. And people were talking about how the Miami Dolphins needed a running back so badly. We were talking about trading for Jonathan Taylor. Even I was talking about signing Dalvin Cook. Now, I was wanting to sign Dalvin Cook only as like a luxury thing. I wasn't looking at him as saying that, oh, he's the guy that we're going to rely on for the long-standing season. But I was looking at it from the standpoint of him and Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, who I assumed was going to be a factor, but it looks like at this point he doesn't really have a spot on this team. You have Devon Achane, a rookie, coming in here and just lighting up the NFL. Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill are going back and forth on trying to figure out which one of these guys is the fastest guy. They literally are trading back and forth fastest running times with ball carrying in the NFL. They traded back and forth in this past game. Tyreek Hill finally leapfrogged him, actually got up to about 22 miles an hour, which just barely beat out Devon Achane's previous record. So they're going back and forth trying to act like, okay, who's the fastest guy? Tyreek Hill, when he did his ball carry, when he made his catch, Devon Achane was talking about, oh, well, Tyreek got caught, so that negates his speed. I would love to go ahead and give you that credit, kid, but hey, Tyreek Hill still ran faster than you, so why don't you go ahead and just try to get faster? If that's even humanly possible at this point, you might as well be Usain Bolt. How can every single top 5, 6, 7, you want to keep going down the list, the fastest ball carrying speeds in the entire league up to this point is all Dolphins, all of them. So Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, I said it wrong again, but whatever, Devon Achane. And then, of course, you throw in Jalen Waddle, who, by the way, he's actually been left out of this mix a little bit. And that's part of where I think Tua Tagovailoa made some of his mistakes, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. But just thinking about it, you have this Miami Dolphins offense, and I get it, the Giants are a bad team, but the Dolphins had a bad game on offense. A bad game. I feel like they had a bad game on offense. But think about what I just said there. They scored 30 points, and they had over 500 total yards from the line of scrimmage. And I said that they had a bad game. For the Dolphins, this was a bad game. This was not a game that I'm looking at. You could tell they weren't firing on all cylinders. Tua was not sharp. He was not throwing to the guys open. He made a couple of mistakes, made a couple of bad decisions. And I think part of that was because just he was trying to force it to Jalen Waddle. I believe truly that Tua realizes that Jalen Waddle is not being involved in this offense, and part of me thinks that he feels bad. So he's trying to force the ball to Jalen Waddle. And by the way, even though he's not being like a mainstay of this offense right now, Jalen Waddle still caught a touchdown pass. So we can't just say that it's nothing, you know? So that's truly incredible. Jalen Waddle, 5 catches, 35 yards, a touchdown, 7 yards per catch. Tyreek Hill continues to be the playmaker of the team, though. 8 catches, 181 yards, a touchdown. Cedric Wilson even got involved. And when Cedric Wilson gets involved, you know that things are like, oh, well, and it seems like anybody can go on these Giants. And that's fine. But I still maintain my point. With 30-plus points and 500-plus total yards, the Dolphins had a bad game. They did. Tua Tagovailoa throwing 2 interceptions is me saying that he had a bad game. But even still, he still threw for over 300 yards and had 2 touchdown passes. And one of them was a beauty of a pass over the top to Tyreek Hill. That was a bad game for the Miami Dolphins. That was considered a bad game. If you are a Miami Dolphins football fan and you're wondering where in the pecking order do the Miami Dolphins land, are they better than the Buffalo Bills? Not one-on-one, no. When it comes to matchups, as far as that is concerned, the Buffalo Bills are very, very capable of beating the Miami Dolphins. It's one of those things where it's like they just have their number. The Buffalo Bills always seem to be able to beat the Miami Dolphins, regardless of who is truly the better team in this regard. And the reason I point that out is because the Buffalo Bills just lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. Granted, Jacksonville seems to be, like, London may as well be Jacksonville's second home field. I get that. I understand that. But the Buffalo Bills weren't able to do a whole lot against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, let me go over it for you guys. 25-20, the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Buffalo Bills. What were the stats for these Buffalo Bills players? Josh Allen, 27 completions, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Okay. He threw the ball as he attempted to throw the ball 40 times. So, not great as far as his completion percentage. Definitely he's done better, like last week. Who was the leading rusher for the Buffalo Bills that game? It was Josh Allen. 4 carries, 14 yards rushing. You know who was the worst? James Cook, who had 5 carries for -4. -4! Latavius Murray, 2 carries, 6 yards. Damian Harris, 3 carries, 13 yards. So, put all that together, and you have 29 yards total of rushing for the Buffalo Bills against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, by the way, the Jaguars have not exactly been juggernauts this year. They're currently sitting at 3-2, just like Buffalo is now. Stephon Diggs had himself a fantastic game for the Bills. 8 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Gabe Davis also had a great day. 6 catches, 100 yards, also a touchdown. Great. Josh Allen continues to be the hero ball guy. But you know what? That is exactly what we were told, is that as soon as Josh Allen feels like he has to be a superhero, that's when things go sour for Buffalo, and they did. And now you have the Miami Dolphins. Thank you very much, Jacksonville. The Dolphins are now, once again, in sole possession of the AFC East, sitting at 4-1, and with the Carolina Panthers, who, by the way, Bryce Young is struggling mightily over there. The Dolphins could easily be 5-1 heading into Philadelphia. Now, that game is going to be tough, Philadelphia is. But this is where I once again talk about, where did the Dolphins fall in this pecking order? Where did the Dolphins fall as far as, are they one of the best teams in the NFL or not? The answer to that question should not be hard to figure out. Yes, the Miami Dolphins are one of the best teams in football. Are they the best? I don't know if I can go that far anymore. I was hoping that I could firmly say that. I really wanted to believe that the Dolphins were the best team in the NFL. They are one of the best, definitely top 5. And I guess I can accept that for now. For now. But after everything that I've seen over the course of these past few weeks, I don't want to be satisfied with just one of the best. I want the Dolphins to be the best. I want the Dolphins to run right into the Super Bowl. That's what I want them to do. Just like the Philadelphia Eagles, they got themselves way better, and they were a Super Bowl contender. They might have won in the Super Bowl had all things gone their way, but they did not. Such is life. So I'm looking at these Miami Dolphins. Statistically speaking, they are the most prolific offense in the NFL. In fact, they are the most prolific NFL offense in history as of this moment. And so with that in mind, you would think that this team would be unstoppable. But there are still some mistakes being made, and those need to be addressed. On the defensive side of the ball, I just want to highlight one more time, Andrew Van Ginkel is going to be a very, very rich man in 2024. Some team, I don't think it's the Dolphins, because I don't think he'll be able to come back. The Dolphins can't afford him. They won't be able to afford his price. But some team is going to look at Andrew Van Ginkel and say, I want you to be a pass rusher for us. I want you to be a regular pass rusher, going after quarterbacks, making them miserable. Andrew Van Ginkel, once again, was all over the field. He was making plays. He was getting sacks. He would have had 2 sacks on the day had Xavier Howard not been called for illegal contact way, 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 way far away from where the play actually was. So that erased a massive sack of Tyrod Taylor. Oops. So a lot more oops. We got to get rid of the oops. That's my biggest concern right now. Against the New York Giants, the Dolphins' defense should have been beyond unstoppable. They should have been able to basically make it so that they didn't get any yards. But I'm not taking it away from them. They did a good job. They stopped the Giants from scoring anything on offense aside from field goals. So any other day, any other team, and we would be satisfied with that. And so I will go ahead and I will say, good job, Miami Dolphins defense. You kept the team that was bad, and you made them stay looking bad. If they were a bad team and the offense suddenly lit us up, then I would be concerned. I'm still a little bit concerned, because what's going to happen when the Dolphins go to face the Eagles? Or is Jalen Hurts going to put up 400 yards of passing on us? I don't know that yet. I am hoping that Vic Fangio has figured out something. I am hoping that he will look at this situation and say, you know what, Andrew Van Ginkel is somebody I need to keep on the field and rushing the passer on a regular basis, because he gets into the backfield on the regular. He's always there. As for Bradley Chubb, he is more of a balanced guy. I can't even call him like a raw pass rusher anymore. He is the dude who can set the edge, which is great. We need people who can set the edge. He's a big, bulky dude, and he gets the job done as far as like making it so that you can't run past him. But he's not doing much as an actual pass rusher right now. So with that in mind, the biggest issue that the Dolphins have is not getting enough pressure on the quarterback. They got it against the New York Giants, but the New York Giants was fielding an entirely backup offensive line at this point. They were like, one starter, Evan Neal, and Evan Neal is not a good player? That would be like saying, oh, well, the Dolphins still have one starting offensive lineman on there, but that offensive lineman is Austin Jackson. Now, let me just very quickly clarify that. Austin Jackson, by reputation, is not a good player. But this year, he's actually doing really, really well, especially compared to what his standard has been before. So I absolutely 100% have to give him credit for that. Kudos to Austin Jackson. He has really stepped it up this season. I'm very proud of what he has accomplished, and hopefully he will be able to keep this up throughout the season, and maybe, just maybe, the Dolphins might have found their right tackle after all, and they don't have to pay him a ton of money, because one good season does not make a top-tier right tackle make. So in conclusion, where does this leave the Miami Dolphins? As of this moment, they are first place in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills are 3-2. Miami is 4-1. Miami has the greatest offense in the history of the NFL as we know it as of today, and the Buffalo Bills do not have that. Now, once again, the head-to-head matchup against Buffalo is always going to be brutal. In fact, I wouldn't even go as far as to say I think the Dolphins will win that matchup. However, it seems that other teams are having more luck against Buffalo. Maybe it's just a psychosomatic thing. Maybe the Dolphins just can't beat the Bills. But you know what? As long as we can get into the AFC East division title and they can't, that's already a step in the right direction. So if the Dolphins can just keep winning, just keep beating teams they're supposed to beat, steal a couple of games they're not supposed to win, the Carolina Panthers are in serious trouble, and the Dolphins are coming in and going to be playing for the second straight week at home. And this was not one of those wins where the Dolphins are going to be like so hyped up on themselves that they're going to just be hung over the next day. This is not a Denver Broncos 70-point bloodbath. They scored 31 points against the New York Giants. They're going to go back, look at the film, and say, okay, here's what we did right, here's what we did wrong, and we're going to fix it against the Panthers because Bryce Young, he's not playing quarterback particularly well at the moment. The Panthers don't have a whole lot going for them. Dolphins should once again score at least 30 points and keep them from scoring a whole lot of points on the other side. So another double-digit win is what I'm looking for this upcoming Sunday. We will have more to talk about as time goes on. I didn't even mention Chase Claypool is a Miami Dolphin now. Chase Claypool is a Miami Dolphin now. I had made a joke about it in the 5 Reasons Sports Discord server that, hey, want to throw a 7th-round pick or something to the Chicago Bears and see if they go for it, and we can get Chase Claypool, who's a talented player? I didn't think they'd actually do it, but here we are. This could be Chase Claypool's last chance. And allegedly, he does have a connection with Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know how strong that connection is. He went out of his way to find him and congratulate him after the win against Pittsburgh last season. Durham Smythe knows him very well. He vouched for him. Tyreek Hill seems to like the idea of Chase Claypool in the locker room. So we will see if that goes anywhere. Chase Claypool is talented. 6'4", he's a big dude. He's a big-bodied wide receiver. Probably the one thing that we've really been missing in this offense. Maybe the last missing piece of the puzzle, as it were. If that's the case, Dolphins will have nothing to stop them. But it's going to take some time for Claypool to actually learn the offense. So maybe he becomes the Eric Ezukanma role because Ezukanma is going to be gone for a while, it seems like. Maybe he learns how to block again. Maybe, because there was a point where he had tweeted and talked about, oh, I don't mind blocking, and then he showed a video of himself blocking. Well, that's been the biggest issue with you lately, is you don't block and other stuff that's off the field, but this is your last chance, man. People like you. People are willing to work with you here in Miami. So don't blow it. I would love to see you become wide receiver 5, and your name is Chase Claypool, and you're one of the most talented wide receivers that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had in the longest time. Didn't work out for you in Chicago. Make it work here. If you can't make it work here in Miami with the greatest show on surf, then at that point, I don't know where you can go where you can find yourself some success. That's going to be it for this show. Thank you all so much for listening. There will be another Fins Nation on Wednesday. We're going to have Pulse of Fins Nation on Tuesday night, as always. There's going to be a whole lot of Dolphins content coming your way. Make sure that if you haven't already done so, that you go to PrizePicks.com, use that promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. So that's it for this show. We will see you all Wednesday for more Fins Nation.